Our podcast produces raw and unfiltered content to amplify voices that have been degraded, dismantled, and devalued. Say it with your chest on the BMN podcast where men can heal. All right, y'all, we with another one, another episode in the books. We got Brandon Z Hoff here. Got my guy Eder. We ready to get started.
Let's go.
So Brandon Z Hoff, man, founder at Heritage Hill, born and raised in Avondale, father. This guy, 2 million in sales, got a national retail brand. His brand was featured in GQ and Essence magazine. I mean, that is completely just amazing. Like, and he's right here in Cincinnati, right here in our backyard. Man, Brandon Z Hoff, man, we got to give it to you, man. Like, we got to show you some love. He get his flyers right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we got to show him some love, some appreciation. Like, I appreciate you for being here.
Absolutely.
And for just, allowing the BML podcast just to, interview. So with that being said, man, just, tell us about yourself, how you got started, all that. I really want to know everything.
For sure. It's like my villain story. Yeah. I'm excited to be here too. I appreciate y'all for inviting me. I'm humble for the opportunity. But how did I get started? So we were just talking, man. I've never really been. My entrepreneurship story is been quite all over the place. I didn't really set out to be an entrepreneur. It wasn't anything I said, hey, let me get to it. I didn't grow up with a lot of entrepreneurs around me or in my life, I should say. But I've never really been like a hireable employee, I should say. I haven't been on a job for longer than a year, 2 years. So I think that, just growing up, having a bunch of different jobs, having a bunch of varied interests allowed me to really tap into, a lot of different skill sets for myself. So I grew up in Cincinnati. I went to Withrow High School and went to Xavier after Withrow. Xavier right here in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Then after that, I worked corporate for a little bit and said I wanted to start a company. This was probably when I first wanted to do entrepreneurship after college. And everything I read online said, yo, go get an MBA. You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to start a company, you got to go get an MBA. So I went and did an MBA program in South France, in Nice, France, for a year and a half. I lived in France. And there, I learned a lot of stuff about just myself, about entrepreneurship, business building. Had a bunch of dope people in my class. Was on a startup team for a geo-localized app for the Middle Eastern market. Like, we were going to build something that was kind of like eBay for the Middle East. And I was on the marketing team. So we went and pitched to some VCs in San Francisco. We went in. It was venture capitalists. So it was like Shark Tank style, right? We sitting in front of a panel, kind of like this panel of people, and I'm standing up there and I'm talking about this app. So that was really like, yo, like this entrepreneur stuff. So after school, I got a job as an analyst. I was working for a payday lending company as a financial analyst, and it was terrible, yo. It's a really wicked industry, man. Like, I learned a lot about the numbers because the numbers matter, but it was just a nasty industry. Ended up getting laid off, and they gave me a severance, and I'm like, it's time to get it, like right now. Like, they just paid. This was my first investment into my company. This was in 2019, actually, on Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day of 2019 is really when my villain story started, at least for entrepreneurship. So I haven't looked back then, man. They laid me off, and I'm like, yo, I'm going to start my company, and I'm not going to work for anybody else's company. I'm going to build the company that I want to work for. So here we are now, 3.5, almost 4 years later.
Dang. So how did you, like, scale your business? Like what are some of the things that you've done to like scale it up to where you're at now?
Yeah. So we started in a basement, in Avondale, right? My godfather's basement. There was a little print shop. I had a heat press and a dream, I guess. So I started off just trying stuff, man. Testing, putting stuff out with friends, putting stuff out with families, seeing what would hit, seeing what wasn't hit, seeing what was hot, what not. So I would put stuff out and people were like, man, I really like that or I don't like it. And once I figured out, okay, this is a style and kind of preference of what people like. So I'm in apparel for people who have, I have an apparel company. We manufacture, design, and make collegiate apparel for HBCUs, for Divine Nine fraternity sororities. We do a lot of Black Power. We do a lot of Black History stuff. We're in about 56 stores in Belk, who's a retailer down south. We're having some talks with Target. So anyway, that's what we do. We start off in the basement, and now we're in an 8,000 square foot facility over here in Arlington Heights. And really, man, that journey has been like brick by brick. Like I didn't start off saying, all right, we about to go shoot for the stars, but I literally like, hey, I want to sell one. And then after we sell one, how do I sell 10? Like, how do I sell 50? Like, how do I sell 100? So there wasn't never all right, we're going to shoot for the stars. I want this to be like $1 billion company. It was really, man, I want to be able to sell to people in the hood first. Like, if I can't get the people close to me, then, you know, how we going to get the people that aren't close to me? So that was really how I did it. And I guess what was really, really important for anybody out there is like, hey, how do I scale my business? What do I need to do? What I really focused on was a process, the systems, and then automation, right? So your process, your systems, and your automation, right? You don't get to scale, you don't grow unless you start there. So anybody starting a company right now, it's important for you to build that company as if someone else was going to purchase it, or if you was building a company for somebody else. A good mentor of mine told me like, yo, build your company as if you were going to sell it. Even if you have no intentions of selling it, like build it as if you were going to sell it, because this is really how you start to think about your process, your systems, and automation. Because nobody wants to buy a company that the founder leaves, all the information goes, or it can't run without the founder. So you need to, from the offset, be thinking about, how do I build this company, this organization, to where it can be self-sustaining without me? And really the focus is, how's your processes, your systems, and automation, and how does those speak to each other?
Nice. So how did you, and you were so humble about this, man. I was so weak when I seen this post. Like, how did you almost touch, like you said, you almost touched almost 17 million screens, and you was like, this is kind of wild. Like, you were so humble about it. Like, how did you do that, man? Like, that's we talking about 17 million people. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, so man, it's the speed of the internet now, man. Like the tools that we have now for like business building is unbelievable, right? Like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, like how you can access people, how you can get in touch with people, how you can get your product in front of people is unbelievable. It's never been a time in the history of the world where you can now interface with hundreds of thousands of people just by putting it out there, right?
Yeah.
So my company has been built primarily on Facebook ads and Instagram ads, right? We've done totally through paid advertising. And I spent a lot of time learning about like Facebook ads and learning about marketing and how it works. So biggest thing, quick on Facebook ads, your pixel. So if you have a website and you don't have your Facebook pixel on your website, you leaving money on the table. Yeah. So if you don't take nothing else from this conversation,
Facebook pixel,
like go set up your Facebook pixel, right?
Pixel.
Set up a Facebook, a Meta ad account, a Meta Business Suite, whatever they call it now.
What's Facebook pixel?
So the pixel is like it's basically code that you put on your website that is able to capture all of the data for the customers that land on your website. Okay. So if you land on my website right now, the pixel captures information on you, which there's a whole big thing. Huh? Yeah, or like a web crawler. Yeah. So the algorithm then takes the data that it gets from all the information from you when you went on my website and says, okay, these kind of people go to your website. So for us, right, we're targeting Black folk from the ages of 28 to 50. Okay. Right? So I'm looking for those people. So I'm asking Facebook to help me find these people. One of the ways they do it is you target these people. Let me target 28 to 50 Black folk. And you can't necessarily say Black people on Facebook. Right. So you would pick things that they were interested in, which we got a big issue with Facebook right now, because I used to could target Howard University, to sell to Howard University, and Facebook took it away. But you
Wow.
can still
Why you think that is? But
so politics and misinformation. But here's the wicked part that you can still target like Harvard, or you can still target like North Carolina Chapel Hill. So
Wow.
we got an issue with that because it's costing us money. But anyway, we would target, let's say for us like Insecure or Issa Rae would be like somebody that a lot of people, our customers are interested in. Like, so we say, hey, Facebook, show all of this to people who like Issa Rae between the ages of 28 to 50. And Facebook say, cool, I'm gonna show it to those people. So when those people click on the ad and they go to my website, the pixel captures if this what kind of person this is, what kind of device are they using, what city are they in, and Facebook on the back end knows what their interests are.
Yeah.
So like right now, a quick exercise just to really learn how this works is if you go on your Instagram and you go on the search button on the Explore page, right? The Explore page is going to tell you what Instagram thinks about you, right? It gives you a whole illustration of like, this is what kind of, all your stuff, right? So if you got, like, you really go, and Instagram is saying, you a person that likes whatever's on that feed, they targeting you for that. So advertisers like myself are using that information that Facebook has on you to say, show my ad to this kind of person because they like it. And the pixel is what warehouses all of that. So over time, your pixel gets enough data. So we got 3 years of data on our Facebook pixel, which says these kind of customers come to my website. Now Facebook, go find all the customers who have come to my website who look like this. And Facebook could go find them. And you can even get more granular than that. You can say, yo, Facebook, find all the people who have purchased off my website. Find all the people who have added to their cart, who have viewed content, who have searched on the site. So you can build audiences of people who have bought things, or called lookalike audiences. Or we got 50,000 people on an email list. I can build a custom audience for my email list and then tell Facebook, hey, yo, go find everybody that looks like the people on this email list. So this is how it does it. So if you don't have a Facebook pixel on your website, go set up the Facebook pixel, because this is the most valuable thing you have as an advertiser, and people don't notice, and you waste a lot of money.
So you saying putting that on the website?
Yeah, it goes actually on your website. So if you have a Squarespace website or a Shopify website, it's really easy. You can you can automatically do it.
So it sounds like that's for more retail.
Nah, anybody, any company. So like this right now, if traffic is important to you, which if you anybody with a company, traffic is important because most of us got internet businesses. So for you guys right now, your pixel should be set up on the website, right? So everybody's looking at this, goes to the website, and they click on your website and they see it. Now you can target them, like retarget them with, hey, here's a new episode, or here's our some kind of package. Here's our highlight reel. Here's whatever it is you want to get them.
Gotcha.
But the key point is to be able to first get their information, the data on them, and say, okay, this is the kind of people that come to my joint.
I got two quick questions. First and foremost, I want to know, is this like, would you say like your best marketing tool or your best tool that you use throughout your business? And then two, just kind of give us a brief overview of like what apparel do you have? You say you went to apparel, so and you targeted a specific audience. Like, I see you got on the halves. As hell, but what other kind of apparel are you selling?
Yeah, so first, like for me, our ads have been at least the best way, because I got an entire sales organization, and if you use it right, so we built the community first. So that's really important too, is you build a community. So now you can have enough data so the algorithm knows what kind of people you're looking for. Right. So first thing is we built a community, right? So I got a IG page, Heritage Hill, and we were putting out all stuff that Black people like to do, like memes and just stuff that that we all can relate to, right?
Yep.
Because what we're trying to do is build traction. We want Instagram to learn what kind of page we are, right? So your Instagram needs to be a business profile to let Facebook know you in business. So we were promoting to a specific kind of person, and then Facebook and Instagram was like, all right, cool, we understand this person. So for me, it allowed like just me on a computer to be very, very powerful, instead of having to go knock on doors or pass out flyers like on billboards. Like most people looking at their screen. So if you can learn like how to do it, I think personally it's the most powerful tool that's out there. as far as clothes, like, man, we started off with just T-shirts,
Right.
right? Just a single T-shirt that had "I'm about making my ancestors proud" on there, right? And then I got connected with a supplier from grad school. Like, I was in grad school. He's like, hey, I got a guy that you can link up with. He makes clothes. I know you're trying to make clothes. And I started working with him. So that was really the big break, is getting like a large scale international manufacturer that allowed us to do like custom cut and sew apparel, which is what we're in, right? So we manufacture our own garments. We go straight from the seed, right? So we getting our own fabrics, we cutting and sewing, we putting our own branding on them, and then we embroider them or print them. So we do 3/4 zips. We do vintage color block style, like from 80s, 90s inspired style.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Abs,
Carl
T-shirts,
yeah,
hoodies,
T-shirts, hoodies,
sweats,
shorts, yeah, all this. Socks is something. So home decor is something we're really looking to get into. We're getting like retailers who are saying, yo, y'all need to do blankets and socks and like shower curtains and stuff like this. So longer term, we'll probably start to look more like a big box retailer, kind of like Polo or Fossil, where we kind of running the whole gambit in terms of accessories and apparel.
Right.
We just ain't there yet. So
what's your process with getting into these stores? You said you're in a few stores.
Yeah.
Now and then y'all got your own location.
Yeah.
Obviously that's a little bit different, but getting into these corporate stores, what's that kind of like? I can imagine that's a lot of politics as well.
So they actually reached out to us. Like we had built so marketing, like running ads and buy or see it. And you need to be very specific with who you targeting. So if you got a niche based and you're like, hey, this is my customer, this is who we're going with. A retailer or a brand has to see value in, okay, we're trying to get that same customer.
Right.
And you appear to have better access to that customer, which is wow for black people, because if black people continue to say it's important for them to buy black, that means that we become the gatekeepers and walled gardens to that customer and the community, which means these bigger brands have to come through us, right? So when we talking about scaling and getting bigger and being able to do it, like that's one of the real values in being a bigger company, because now the other big companies say, man, I really want to get access to people who are 28 and 50, who got disposable income, who are college educated, who got money. Like, how do I get those customers? And it's like, nah, you got to come through us, right? Like, you got to. So
Monopoly.
They hitting us up like, hey, we want to sell HBCU gear, but we know that black customers are asking, is this black owned? Like, y'all buying HBCU gear from who's selling it?
Right.
So that's critical for us to be able to say, hey, we black and proud and we selling things that are for the culture. So they reached out to us, and that's what companies are doing now. So like Red Bull, Dr. Pepper, Belt, Target, all of these companies are like, hey, we interested in having a discussion with y'all. The difficult thing about that is retailers, it's hard work for the small guys to get in with retailers. You gotta have it's this thing called EDI, where the software that you gotta have to plug into their whole system. There's the payment terms suck, right? We'd be on 30, 60, 90 days until you get paid. So our first deal with Belk went bad. Like, it was like a $200,000 deal that went belly up, where we got stuck holding the bag, and they sent all the stuff back, and it was terrible. We just now probably are stabilizing from
that y'all first.
It was the first deal. First deal we did. Like, and I was hella excited. Like, we just got Belk. We just got a $200,000 purchase order. Like, we cracking. I was at my homie's wedding in Puerto Rico, and the buyer texted me like, yo, we just got a cease and desist. We sending all the stuff back. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. So it's tough. So it could, that's the thing. Like, when you go into big retail, like, the deals get bigger, the numbers get bigger, and like the margin for error becomes much more significant, right? Like, you mess up, it's just, it ain't a lot of room for mistakes. And like, we've been really blessed. Like, we just,
would you say it's something that you could have did on your end to make it?
Definitely. So we could have done more due diligence on our end. Like, they could have done more due diligence on their end. It's just you don't know what you don't know. And we tried to we tried to cut a few corners. Like if I can do it all over again, of course I would be like we
So
wouldn't.
let me
But,
ask, how soon was that? Like from starting up your business, you said obviously you had to, you was building,
Yeah.
and then you went to Belt,
Yeah.
or Belt came to you. How long was that from when you started
Yeah.
and got off the ground? Would you say to going to that first deal?
So that was the second year. So the first
Yeah,
year.
too.
So I when I listen to podcasts, I be wanting people to get the numbers. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
talking. So
yeah, that's what I like
The
too,
first
yeah.
year we did 50 bands the first year, like out the basement.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this jumping like.
Yeah.
Word. Like, next year we did half a milli.
T-shirts.
It was just T-shirts, yo,
T-shirts.
cranking
T-shirts,
T-shirts.
crazy.
And like next year we did half a milli, and Belt called us because now I'm running them ads. The ads went crazy. To protest really what fueled us because we were selling Black Power stuff.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, yeah.
like because we were selling Black Power stuff and we were like Facebook shut my ad accounts down like a lot.
Yeah.
'Cause I was putting out like fuck the police stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I was going crazy. Like I
Wait,
was going real crazy.
Catching-
And they were shutting us down. I'm like, all right, like let's tone it down. Like, but it was going crazy. And so Belt, plus we got licensed with the colleges. So that was another thing. Like I started off, and me, I don't condone anybody to do it this way because it's huge legal liability. But I'm a big, let's ask for forgiveness first instead of asking for permission. So
Yeah.
so I was just making stuff for people, and like the COC, which is the governing body for the colleges, they like, yo, you can't sell this stuff. You don't got a license. So we ended up getting a license, and then after we got the license and with the protests, like it was popping.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it was jumping. Like, it was
Damn.
like, yo. So we went out the basement to like a 1,500 square foot facility to a 2,500 square foot facility, and then Belk was calling us like, hey, can we get in?
Right,
like
right,
what's
right.
good? So
Okay.
this was a year later. So February 2019, and then Belk was calling us in October of 2020, and we were doing like $500,000 at that point.
Yeah, damn.
Wow.
And what's those licenses like? Like getting, you say you got to get the license.
Yeah.
You don't have to go too far in detail, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Is that a process where you got to sit down and do so many hours of something, or
Like research.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need to have a good plan. So really the license of the schools are, so the COC is looking like, man, is it worth them adding you to the licensee catalog? Like, will
Yeah.
you be able to generate revenue for the organizations that you serving? Right? Because at the end of the day, like the schools have their trademarks, their copyrights, whatever, and they're like, hey, we want to make some coin. So I submitted a business plan that said, hey, here go our plan, here go our marketing strategy. For us, we already had a little steam. We was doing some numbers,
Right.
and we probably had like 8,000 people on the social media. So it made sense. Just starting out, like it's a little difficult for people to get approved for licensing because they don't have anything.
Yeah.
So for us, we had a little bit to say, hey, you know what, we got a sustainable model, like we know how to do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of schools signed us up.
Yeah.
So that
It
helps
was
a
really
lot.
just building the brand.
Building the brand.
The license gonna kind of come
Yeah.
once they see,
Definitely.
And I'm sure they probably push you a little bit forward,
Definitely.
helping you because they want to get
For
you
sure.
in there to get they cut.
For sure. They've been a great partner. Like, there's a huge initiative for big companies now to say, hey, how do we work with smaller, independent, definitely black-owned companies?
Right.
Just because, like, the black consumer is changing. Like, that's why it's important people keep saying, yo, buy black, support black businesses, because it really does change. It changes the dynamic. It gives us black businesses more buying power to be able to go into organizations and say, nah, like, we got 50,000 people that's rocking with us.
Yeah.
Like, if you want access to those people, you got to put us on, and you got to be patient with us. Like, you can't expect us to move like Champion.
Right.
Like, we don't have the infrastructure or support to do that. So, building a brand was critical.
Yeah. Have
to
you
that
looked
point.
in like to jerseys and stuff like that? Like
Yeah.
I know obviously Dion, he down there
Yeah.
doing his thing kind of
Yeah,
now, and
yeah.
I feel like he really is a person that's going to change it for the culture
Yeah.
for HBCUs and football.
For sure.
Just kids want to go to a HBCU and play, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
then they'll be able to even compete with teams such as like Alabama or any of the bigger teams, Georgia, Clemson, and stuff like that. So I think in a way that could be an end
Major.
for for somebody like y'all to be the first ones to say like,
Start
all right,
with
now,
jersey.
yeah, now let me put my mark on these jerseys, or be
Yeah.
able to just to make the jerseys. I don't know if they're gonna be like, I'm making my ancestor proud on the back of the jersey, but
Yeah, nah, that'd be some
yeah,
revolutionary shit.
yeah, you
So the
never
jersey's
know.
a whole nother game because this when you directly competing with like Nike and Adidas and what they're doing is also they giving a lot of free stuff,
Facts,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
or they broker in a contract, a multi-year contract that says, hey, you know what, we'll give this to be able to just get the eyeballs on it.
Right.
So we ain't there yet, like to be able to outfit, Jackson State, but that's part of that growth strategy.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, how do we get to a point where we can support that? Like, what do we need to be doing now to at least show competence around having the ability to do that? So we'll get there soon.
Yeah,
We'll get there
yeah,
soon,
Yeah, I
man.
wanted to ask you, how did you select like your first employee?
My
That
first
was
employee. So my first employee was a virtual assistant actually. So I had got a VA off. So everybody should know like Fiverr and Upwork.
Yeah,
If you
right,
don't,
yeah.
definitely learn Fiverr
Yeah.
and Upwork because
Upwork.
these are Upwork is a global marketplace for talent, like especially for creative talent, for like virtual assistants. Upwork was really the first place I went to be able to find people. So my first employee was virtual assistant.
India, huh?
Philippines actually.
Philippines,
Yeah,
yeah.
like he's cold. Like he's still on the
Yeah.
team. Like both of them, they're from the Philippines, and I just needed like hands, like to do stuff online. Like yo, go research for this. Can you put together this Excel spreadsheet? He had design skills, so he would help me design. Like yo, we need to mock up all of this stuff. I need XYZ. So that was the quickest thing to do. Is like let me just get some extra hands in the company to be able to do it.
Right.
So I started with 2 VAs for a while. Like I rocked with them for a year, and it wasn't until we started to go into our own production, we started making our own stuff. I was outsourcing everything at first, giving it to other print-on-demand companies or sending stuff overseas. And we're like, all right, we're gonna start making our own stuff here.
Yeah,
It wasn't until then when I actually got like
Got some more.
an actual full-time person on the payroll.
Wow.
And that was actually the my godfather who basement it started in. So he was the first person to say, "All right, yo, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna come work here full time," which was dope. Like the
Yeah,
fact that
right.
he
Yeah.
was like started in his
Like,
basement. And he like, "Yo, I'm seeing the hustle. I'm seeing the grind. Like, we ain't in the basement no more. Like,
Yeah.
put me on." I'm like, "Word." Like, I'm good.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if you believe, like, that's a big deal. Like to
Yeah.
quit your job and to come and say, "All right, I'm gonna work for this company." That made me feel it was a humbling feeling, right?
Yeah.
It kind
He
of
saw the
inspired me.
vision, yeah,
Word,
yeah,
like he
yeah.
really believed and trusted it enough to say, "Yo, I'm gonna quit and I'm gonna come work here." So
That's bigger than the money. I know we was talking earlier
Yeah.
about, you know what I'm saying, getting them loans or getting,
Word.
just the investor to invest in the business. But,
Yeah.
you got somebody willing to invest their time,
Yeah.
especially just, leaving a full-time job. I feel like that's super.
it was major.
Big.
I always tell the story because we started like really with a mission was make our ancestors proud, and I'm like, yo, how do I one do business in a way that isn't like super hardcore capitalistic? I'm gonna crush you.
Yeah.
Give me.
Yeah,
Like it's all mine. Like I'm self-made. Fuck everybody. Like
Right.
I'm like nah. Like like most of the successful black businesses historically was built through cooperative ownership.
Right.
Like we're gonna pull our resources together and we're gonna do it like together. Right. Like my success is your success. So him like, yo, I want to come work here. Like I don't want to work there. I want to work with this company. It was like, yeah, you should. You know what I'm saying? Like that's dope. Like I'm
Yeah,
proud.
yeah.
Like that makes me really proud that you believe in it enough because a lot of times with black folk, it isn't always the capital. Like it's your labor, it's your time.
Thanks.
It's like the discussion, it's stuff like this. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
however we can create synergies, like we should. So that's critical. That's a real like staple for the company.
Yeah. Can I ask, like, for your brand, like, was you the mastermind? Is it all yours? Like, I'm trying to make my ancestors proud. The logo, you made all that up.
Yeah, so I designed. So my mom's like when I got laid off, I was like, yo, like I was going through just a whole bunch of different iterations of
Yeah.
companies. Like so, this is what we landed on after several companies. I own a lot of domains. Like I was
Yeah,
like just
yeah.
trying stuff, and I'm like, yo, I'm just trying to make my ancestors proud for real. And my mom's just like, I'm about making my ancestors proud. And I'm like, that'll be a lit shirt.
Yeah.
So I had some design skills, and I put together a logo, and then the Tree of Life is actually like the official logo.
Yeah.
And this is like our mantra. But so the Tree of Life is inspired by the baobab tree. It's an African tree in Tanzania. The Tree of Life. So I designed that, and then like all the designs on the website.
All you, huh?
Yeah, out of my mind, man. Out of my mind, like crazy in my mind.
Yeah. So what do you? I know we kind of talked about the jerseys and stuff. I think that would be just something good to look in because it's like I said, even Dion, he's saying like we can't compete with Alabama right now.
Right.
Like, and you looking at it, it's like I can't compete with Nike right now. And well, you kind of just said like you ain't got to be the one that got it all or whatever, crush straight capitalism. But I think that's kind of what it is. Like you either gonna crush somebody or you gonna get crushed at the end of the day. So what are kind of like your future plans for the brand? Where you see the brand going? I know you, and also you talked about how y'all market it. Are you expanding that marketing into is there something that you see different now? Is Google doing something different, or is Instagram putting out something? TikTok, obviously, I feel like that's the newer one. Like, are they putting more ads on TikToks? Do you see more flow on TikTok or anything like that?
So big plans for the brand. So earlier this year, we turned the manufacturing division of our company into a cooperative, a worker-owned cooperative.
Okay.
So this just means that anybody who joins the co-op or becomes a part of co-op can have ownership within the company.
Okay.
So big dream is that the Heritage Hill becomes like a cooperative network of sort, right? So we actually joined a cooperative network. It's called CoOp Cincy, and they helped us kind of organize what it looks like to be a co-op. So big dream would be, man, like what if we were able to have like co-ops all throughout the United States that were selling HBCU gear, D9 gear, Black Power gear, right? And we would be able to create like on-the-job training programs, and like our warehouse facility or some of the other places would become like classrooms.
Yeah.
Because we're working directly with HBCUs and colleges. So you say, hey man, I want to come and work in the Heritage Hill. I'm in Atlanta, I'm in DC, wherever I am. And you would join that, you would be in a co-op, you would learn financial literacy, you would learn like on-the-job training, you would learn how to be a worker owner. This would be like the big vision for us, where we have like a double bottom line, where we're a social enterprise, where we're not only selling gear, but we're also training people, educating people, and helping people really leverage their labor in a way that's like powerful and positive. That would be like my dream of a company, right? That's able to do it this way. So at least if we in the game and we fighting with Nike or we fighting with whoever, at least on the back end, like we really, pouring back into the community. But for advertising, like TikTok is definitely going crazy right now.
Right. Crazy.
Like I was just reading a report with TikTok where people are using TikTok now as like a search engine, like outside of just Gen Z, right? Everybody under the age of 21 is using TikTok like Google. Like, how do I do X? And instead of people going on Google and like getting a list of blogs or reading how to do it, you get short form clips that show you how to do it.
Right.
So it's like, how do I tie a tie? Like they going on TikTok. Like you got a person showing themselves how to tie a tie, right? Like how do I do whatever it is? Like
fix a toilet.
Any of it. Like you got a person on there, boom, it's a person that's showing you how to fix a toilet, and it's a 1 minute clip. So like this short form digestible content that's out, like that's what people want. And you see Instagram doubling down on it. You see YouTube, everybody's doubling down on short form content with shorts and reels and TikToks. So that's a big one. It's like, all right, how do you now create content that's more catered towards short form, digestible, bite-sized bits. So we're in that. Like we're gonna pivot to that. Like we probably been
doing it. You already been doing it.
So we in the game. But that's big like now. So people who are like, hey, what's our content strategy? It probably needs to be around short form, taking longer form, breaking it down into short form content where you get, hey, here's a how-to, and I think that's effective.
Yeah, definitely. As we wrap up, we got a few segments we want to hit. But before we hit the segments, can you tell us what your social media handles are so people can follow you?
Definitely. So my personal is Hoff Hogan. Like Hulk Hogan, I was a big wrestling fan, man. I used to be big time rock. And wow. So Hoff Hogan is my personal, and then Heritage Hill Co. is on all platforms. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can follow us on all those, even TikTok. So we starting to get a little more active on TikTok. But Heritage Hill Co. and the website is www.heritagehill.co, not .com. CO like co-op.
Oh, gotcha. All right, go. So we got a healing segment. So what are some things that you all want to heal from?
Man, this is important, man. Like, so I think definitely me as black man and just a lot of the things. This is not we talking about entrepreneurship right now. We're talking about just general healing.
Just general healing.
So
Yeah.
because this has become really important that as I tell like a lot of my homies, like we don't want to take bad habits into like our wisdom years. You know, we want to be able to, as we grow older, become more healthy. So definitely more emotionally healthy, and more mentally and spiritually healthy. And so I've been on like a transformation over the last 5 years, just really jumping into like mindfulness, meditation, having more healthy emotional practices, because ain't nobody really teaches this, yo.
Yeah,
like,
right.
especially if you was an athlete and on the field, you leave it on the field. Like, don't be no punk, don't be no puss, don't be no bitch. Like, whatever the language you use, get rid of all of that. And then you start to get older and you realize like a lot of that stuff is still in you. Like, you still got that playground child in you that's doing a lot of the things that you're like, yo, why am I doing that? So your mental hygiene, like really invest in your mental hygiene. And what that looked like for me, it's been a lot of like meditation. It's been a lot of self-reflection. It's been a lot of journaling. It's invested in therapy. Like, I'm in all those spaces. So I think any one of those things that you can do to really like build in, to give yourself a toolbox for emotional health and your emotional vocabulary, it's going to improve your relationships. It's going to improve your self-esteem, like all this stuff. So that's kind of my sentiments.
I think that was real good. I really like that. And, you know, personally, I'm going through that same type of, you know, education myself on learning how to mentally heal. And like you said, especially with being an athlete,
Man.
you know, you got to leave that shit all out on the field. And it just, you know, kind of like being tough, being you know what I'm saying, that hard ass. That they want you to be, you know. Yeah. And I think it's not that they necessarily think that's who you should be, you know, all the time, but you know, you got to learn to differentiate when you in that zone and when you not in that zone. And the part where we don't get to learn the difference in between is like, all right, I can't tell when I'm on the field and off the field besides when I'm in uniform, or my mind don't go from one place to another. So I definitely understand that. But one thing that I wanted to say, I mean, I was thinking about this all day for real. I knew we had this healing segment coming up, and I couldn't really think of much besides, you know, just keep praying and keep growing with what you're doing. And kind of like you said, it's like, you know, it's just a learning process that we have to go through for becoming mentally prepared for, you know, just life in general, and especially being a black man.
For sure.
And just being black in general, we're going to have to go through all types of healing processes of what, you know, our ancestors went through. That we don't know. So I think just pray, you know, keep praying and stay strong, and don't be afraid to grow.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to go ask for 100 bands.
Have 100 bands. A million bands.
Whatever it is. And I mean, I think that's one thing we got to heal from as a community, is to, you know, getting out of that mindset of the lack of poverty that we've been through once before. But pray on it and find your higher power, and you will push forward.
Dope.
Yeah, for me, it's just kind of like everything you said. I feel like you're another me in a way. Everything you said is kind of like what I'm doing. Like, it's crazy. Like, so for me, it's really just continuing to journal. Like, I used to write poetry when I was younger, but I stopped, you know, because, of course, I mean, you ain't make no money doing that.
Right.
So, so I'm going to definitely continue doing that and continue doing my therapy and my meditation and my yoga, stretch, and all that good stuff. So,
there we go.
Yeah.
Can we hear something real quick?
Love. Maybe another time. So the next segment is Drop a Gem for the listeners.
Drop a gem.
Yeah.
Man, so outside of like really investing in your mental hygiene, like really, like be patient. Like be patient with yourself. Like a lot of us, we are the first in our families to do some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like to even be thinking about wealth building practices to even make some of the money that some of us is making or doing some of the things that some of us are doing. Like we don't have no playbook or no template. It ain't really nobody that has done it that we can just, hey yo, how you do it? It's us. Like it's us doing it. So be absolutely patient with yourself. Like give yourself some grace. Don't be so hard on yourself. Like we can be really, really, really hard on ourselves, like where we at. So like just yeah, man, take a 360 view and like pat yourself on the back for how far you've come and where you headed to.
I say it's time for some of us to really focus on self because I feel like we all have already done enough for the ungrateful. So focus on self.
I think the biggest thing I want to say is opportunity. Always be looking for the opportunity and be prepared for opportunity. I think the biggest reason why people don't achieve what they want to is they're just not ready for the opportunity or they can't see opportunity when it's in front of them. And now, it's so much opportunity in here. Just look at all the devices that we got. We got more devices on the table than we got people. So,
Word.
it's no shortage in the information that we can get. But we have to be prepared for the opportunity when it arises.
Last but not least, shout out to Black Owned Business. Man, I'm gonna go. Conscious Kitchen, where y'all at? Need y'all.
Word. So actually, the Rain Shop. So one of my homies, he actually is just opening up a retail store, and his store is gonna be one of our first. How should I express it? Like direct retail client, I guess. I don't know. Like all the stuff he putting in his store is gonna be Heritage Hill stuff.
Okay.
Which is dope. So he opening up a store over in College Hill. It's called the Rain Shop. So shout out to the Rain Shop.
Rain shot.
And then I want to shout out my dog Biz God Color Fro.
Word. I know them.
Yeah, Color Fro. Yeah, Origin.
Yeah.
Sir.
Oh, Candace Graphics too. Shout out to them, making all our shirts, all that stuff. So, yeah, we
Who was
good.
that? You said KNS Graphics?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't for sure if I heard you. But KNS.
KNS
Yeah.
Shout out to
Yeah.
KNS Graphics.
Yeah. Shout out. Well, hey, it was good. It was a pleasure
my
having
pleasure.
you
Yeah,
on.
man.
I think we kind of got through a lot of the stuff that we
Yeah,
had
yeah,
planned
we
out
did.
this time. And I
Yeah,
liked
it's
it.
good.
It was real good detail. And
good, man.
maybe we might get you back on for
Anytime.
another one that
Got
go
to, man.
Anytime,
bigger,
man.
deeper dive into what you have to offer. So
sure.
we definitely appreciate you on the podcast. And
my pleasure, fella.
BML, we out, y'all. Let's take it out.
Our podcast produces raw and unfiltered content to amplify voices that have been degraded, dismantled, and devalued. Say it with your chest on the BMN podcast where men can heal.